Cleopatra, beyond the myth, a queen's power in ancient Egypt.
But before we start, please support us by pressing like and subscribe buttons. Also turn on the bell notification to get the latest updates. Your support means a lot to us. Thank you.
When most people hear the name Cleopatra, they imagine a seductress wrapped in silk, reclining on a gilded chaise, her beauty capable of bringing empires to their knees. But the true Cleopatra VII Philopator was far more than the caricature history has often painted. She was a brilliant strategist, a shrewd politician, and the last sovereign ruler of Egypt before it fell into the hands of Rome. Her story is one of survival, intellect, and power at a time when women rulers were rare, and respected even more rarely. Born in 69 BCE in Alexandria, Cleopatra was part of the Ptolemaic dynasty, descendants of one of Alexander the Great's generals. Though her family had ruled Egypt for nearly 3 centuries, they were Greek in culture and language, often resisting full assimilation into Egyptian society. Cleopatra broke this pattern. She embraced the traditions of the Egyptian people, learning their language, a feat none of her Ptolemaic predecessors had attempted, and presenting herself as the reincarnation of the goddess Isis, thereby securing the loyalty of her subjects. Cleopatra's early life was steeped in intrigue and danger. Her father, Ptolemy XII Elites, faced continuous rebellion and Roman manipulation. After his death, Cleopatra, barely out of adolescence, ascended the throne as co-regent with her brother Ptolemy XIII, whom she was expected to marry under Egyptian custom. Yet Cleopatra was not content to be a figurehead. She asserted herself as the dominant partner, appearing alone on coins and official decrees, a rare assertion of independence. Her ambition sparked a civil war between her and her brother, a dangerous move in an era when miscalculations often meant death. Yet Cleopatra's resilience was remarkable. She aligned herself with the greatest power of the time, Rome. When Julius Caesar arrived in Alexandria in 48 BCE, Cleopatra famously had herself smuggled into the royal palace, concealed in a rug, or some say a linen sack, which was presented to Caesar. This dramatic gesture was not merely theatrical. It was a calculated risk by a queen who understood the potency of first impressions. Caesar, impressed by her courage, wit, and charm, backed her claim to the throne. Together, they defeated Ptolemy XIII, and Cleopatra re-established her rule. Now as queen in her own right, though officially co-ruling with another younger brother, Ptolemy XIV, and later, her son Ptolemy XV Caesarion. With Caesar, Cleopatra bore a child, Caesarion, whom she publicly named as Caesar's son and rightful heir. Whether Caesar truly recognized the boy remains debated, but Cleopatra's political maneuver was clear. Through Caesarion, she bound herself and Egypt to the destiny of Rome. Cleopatra's years with Caesar in Alexandria were ones of flourishing prosperity. Under her reign, Egypt remained an independent, wealthy kingdom, its resources, particularly grain, vital to Rome. Cleopatra styled herself as a living goddess, reinforcing her legitimacy both as pharaoh and divine figure. However, the queen's stability shattered when Caesar was assassinated in 44 BCE. Cleopatra found herself once again navigating dangerous political waters. Returning to Egypt, she focused on securing her son's future, but the rising tensions in Rome soon pulled her back into the fray. It was Mark Antony, Caesar's loyal general and member of the Second Triumvirate, who became Cleopatra's next great political partner and lover. Their meeting in Tarsus in 41 BCE was legendary. Cleopatra arrived dressed as the goddess Aphrodite, sailing up the river Cydnus on a magnificent golden barge, with purple sails billowing and servants fanning her with peacock feathers. Antony, a man of grand tastes, was enthralled. But Cleopatra's performance was more than mere seduction. It was a statement of power. She needed Antony's support to protect Egypt's autonomy and her own throne. Antony, captivated and politically allied, spent the winter with Cleopatra in Alexandria, where the two lived in splendor and staged the inimitable Livers, a society dedicated to pleasure, wit, and intellectual games. Their alliance was formalized with political agreements and children. Cleopatra bore Antony 3 children: Alexander Helios, Cleopatra Selene, and Ptolemy Philadelphus. However, back in Rome, Antony's relationship with Cleopatra, a foreign queen, stirred outrage. His rival, Octavian, the future Emperor Augustus, capitalized on Roman xenophobia, portraying Antony as bewitched by an Eastern temptress who sought to rule Rome. Tensions culminated in the Battle of Actium in 31 BCE. Antony and Cleopatra's forces faced Octavian's navy. It was a disastrous defeat. Antony's forces crumbled, and he and Cleopatra fled back to Egypt. In the aftermath, facing inevitable conquest, they each committed suicide. Antony by falling on his sword, Cleopatra, famously, by the bite of an asp, though the method remains debated by historians. Cleopatra's death marked the end of the Ptolemaic rule and the beginning of Egypt as a Roman province. Her son Caesar Ion was captured and executed on Octavian's orders, erasing any claim he might have made as Julius Caesar's heir. Cleopatra's remaining children were taken to Rome, where they were paraded in Octavian's triumph. Yet, despite Octavian's efforts to tarnish her memory, Cleopatra's legend endured. Roman propaganda sought to depict her as a scheming seductress, an embodiment of Eastern decadence and danger. But the real Cleopatra was far more complex. She was a scholar who spoke several languages, an astute politician who maneuvered among the world's most dangerous men, and a queen who tried, against overwhelming odds, to preserve her nation's independence. Cleopatra's life forces us to reconsider the nature of power, especially the power wielded by women in ancient history. She used the tools available to her, alliance, diplomacy, spectacle, to command respect and loyalty. She ruled not merely through personal charm, but through intellectual mastery and strategic brilliance. Her ability to navigate the shifting tides of Roman politics, even as an outsider and a woman, speaks volumes of her capability. Today, Cleopatra stands as a symbol of leadership against adversity. Her life reminds us that power often demands difficult choices, that loyalty is rarely simple, and that legacy is shaped not only by what we do, but also by how others choose to remember us. Beyond the myths of beauty and seduction, Cleopatra remains a figure of formidable intelligence and courage, a queen who dared to rule in a world that tried to forget her. Today, Cleopatra stands as a symbol of leadership against adversity. Her life reminds us that power often demands difficult choices, that loyalty is rarely simple, and that legacy is shaped not only by what we do, but also by how others choose to remember us. Beyond the myths of beauty and seduction, Cleopatra remains a figure of formidable intelligence and courage, a queen who dared to rule in a world that tried to forget her. In recent decades, historians and scholars have worked to peel back the layers of Roman propaganda that cloud Cleopatra's true story. Modern archaeology and scholarship suggest that Cleopatra's intellect, diplomatic skills, and charisma were as vital to her reign as her legendary beauty. Ancient coins bearing her image depict a woman with a strong, determined face, a leader focused on governance rather than mere aesthetics.
Thanks for watching. Please like, share and subscribe if you like videos like this. Thank you.